Welcome to Architects of Latino Success, where we highlight the leaders who are shaping industries and creating opportunity within our community. I'm your host, Joe Castillo. Today's guest is an old friend and one of the first NAHREP success stories that truly inspired me. Jason Madiedo went from being a top producing loan officer to the founder and CEO of Panorama Mortgage Group, a company built with the vision of serving the Hispanic community and redefining what inclusive lending looks like. His foresight and dedication didn't just create opportunity for Latino homebuyers, they helped shift the entire mortgage industry's perception of the Latino market and its tremendous potential. Jason's story is one of vision, perseverance, and purpose-driven leadership. Ready to get started? Vamos. Jason, thank you for joining Architects of Latino Success. Super excited to have you on and talk about everything that's coming forward for you, whether professionally or personally. Big fan of yours, seeing you grow from the owner of a mortgage company to a enterprise to a mogul. Can't wait to have this conversation with you.
Awesome, man. Thank you. I don't know about mogul, but definitely it's been a journey. That's for
Yeah,
sure.
let me put that label on you, man.
Yeah.
But let's start from the very beginning. What got you started in real estate or in the mortgage side of things, and what got you involved with NAHREP?
Yeah. Well, it's a family business. So I'm second generation housing or real estate mortgage in my family. So it's kind of in the blood. My mom started in this industry in 1981, somewhere around there, in mortgage in East LA. So that was kind of an interesting time as well for a Latino woman to be in East LA working for savings and loans banks as a mortgage loan officer. But that has been something I grew up with. I was 6 years old at the time, right? So I grew up in the industry, so to speak. I actually originally hated it, and then learned to love it for all the reasons why NAHREP exists. Yeah, she got me into real estate, into mortgage. Really, it's my last 32 years has been mortgage. And getting into NAHREP was just a natural transition. Somewhere around 2002 ish, when faxes were still around, we got a fax from someone in Las Vegas when we were in Los Angeles, with a flyer that said NAHREP. And it was NAHREP in Texas. So that's this is how word travels in the Latino community, right? Like, how did so many Latinos get to Chicago, right? So the word travels. Hey, the water's good over here. Come over and check it out. So that's so by way of Las Vegas, we found out about NAHREP in Los Angeles with a fax machine. And it was an event in Austin, Texas that it said, it was for Latinos in real estate. And so we thought, well, that's us. And we really didn't see anything like that back in 2002. And so we bought some tickets, hopped on a plane, and went to Austin, Texas to see what NAHREP was about, and fell in love with the organization.
As one will do, for sure when it comes to NAHREP. Can we go back real quick, because I think we have a shared history with moms in real estate, being second generation, what have you. Can you talk a little bit about what kind of stuff did she instill in you to kind of really get you into this business, or to be successful in this business?
Oh man, a lot of discipline, a lot of compassion, love, empathy.
Mm,
I think one of the things that was her mission was to help other Latino families um, build something for themselves, which is the American dream, which is the dream of the immigrant to do better than what you could have done in your country of origin. And
mhm.
housing was that for her, and doing it for other Latinos, which helped our family, was something that she was very passionate about. And so I think that's really it. I think she transitioned that a fuerza, transitioned that passion to me. I say a fuerza because, the amount of work and time and energy that it takes to do this job or be in this industry long term and do it right and be successful at it requires a lot more than you think, right? Or a lot more than people see on the outside looking in terms of dedication. And so I think what she taught me was that I needed to not only have the discipline of work ethic and keep at it, but the love and compassion for the purpose, which was to help other Latino families build wealth through home ownership, which is why that became one of our missions
Yeah.
in our company.
Do you do you feel like that passion and love for the community, all of that was with you from day one as a mortgage person, or something that you relearned over time, or with your involvement with NAHREP?
Um, both. So it wasn't. I hated the fact that you had to work all the time,
Mm,
and that it was commission based, and so and some deals work out and some deals don't, and so that means you either get paid or you don't.
that's right.
Um, and so I didn't like the amount of hours that it took. But I think to answer your question, the realizing that you're helping someone achieve something that they might not even realize what they're doing at the moment. Like, think about it, right? It takes anyone 10 to 20 years to realize the value of buying real estate
Mm,
and the value of owning real estate. Granted, there are periods of time in the economy where it might only happen in 2 or 3 years, like not too long ago, but the reality is it takes a long time. And I think my mom really instilled in me that passion, and then helping a few people and realizing, wow, like the first time you help a first time home buyer and they are like floored. They're like crying, they're emotional. Everything's going through their head. And you're part of that. Like you were on the team that helped achieve that. It changes your life. And then you run into NAREP and you realize, wow, all of you are having the same experience that we're having. And we can sort of layer on top of that and then figure out together how do we do more of that.
alright.
That continues the passion, and it continues, and then just becomes an obsession. It's no longer a passion. It just becomes an obsession of trying to help people.
Yeah, it's interesting you mention it, because you're right. Some people want to be homeowners just because it feels like it's their next thing for them to do, and they don't see it as much as you do in the business. What you're doing for them, right? Setting them up for their future selves, and whether it's for their kids and school and what have you, or just as an investment, so to speak, of building equity. It's kind of funny that way.
100%. I mean, for me, it was like drilled in from my mom. You have to help families. You have to help these families because what we're doing right now is going to change the future for them. And 30 years later now, right, in this industry, and she was right.
Well, you've been a leader of sustainable Hispanic homeownership, which ties obviously right into NAREP's mission. You had the honor of being a national president of NAHREP. So I love asking people that had leadership roles within NAHREP, what some of their favorite memories or challenges were when they had those roles.
Yeah, it's an interesting question because I don't remember the challenges.
Oh, okay.
Um,
You blacked out. They're just
I blacked out. Like, I think I was thinking about this and I go, what was hard about it? And maybe it's here, like it's hard to go, this is what do I do?
Mhm.
But I think I don't remember the challenges because there were so many positives. And I also tried to tend to erase any negative thoughts from my brain. But I think it was more than anything a huge learning experience for me, and something that I appreciate. Will always appreciate. We probably had some challenges. Probably Gary probably solved the challenges. Maybe that's why I don't remember them
Before they got to you.
before they, or the team was just so good at those things. But I remember that the challenge at the time was really sort of housing and affordable lending policies.
Mhm.
That was really the big thing, right? This was 2014-ish, hadn't been too far from the crash, and sort of I think the market was sort of trying to figure itself out. And I think really what happens with the agencies, there was a lot of talk about um, shutting them down, merging them together, getting rid of, affordable lending altogether. That was what was the cause of all these, challenges that we had previous to that time. And so I think being able to voice the opinion of NARA being in mortgage, being a lender, and at that time, it just worked out really well from a I think from an opportunity perspective that having that pedestal or that platform, sorry, not pedestal, but the platform of being the chair of NAHREP, or at the time, to influence or try to influence housing policy around affordable lending. It probably was the most important part of my time as the chair of NAHREP. I think in terms of like the most valuable parts, you, people like you. I mean, think about it. You and I met in NAHREP, and there's so many people that I consider, great friends, and I've worked with. Like, our whole business was built because of NAHREP. I mean, think about it. I've that time was NAHREP has influenced everything for me in my life and business, creating friends, family, everything. So I think that was my time. That was my greatest memories of being chair, was everything sort of 360 around it. My time there, the influences that we were able to have at the time. It worked out that I was in mortgage, right around that time, and so maybe that's why I don't remember the challenges.
It was all good.
Yeah, exactly.
It's funny. Gary mentions it quite a bit that he feels like NAHREP gets the president it deserves or needs when it has when they're there. So
Yeah.
obviously, like as you're mentioning right now, right? Being the policy, the mortgage policy stuff, and you being in the mortgage side of things, tied in perfectly together.
Yeah, I think the universe sort of works that way, and for sure at NARP, it works that way too. Yeah.
So obviously, having that leadership opportunity within NAHREP and your leadership role as a top mortgage broker for your team and then for your business and your company. What are some of your big takeaways when it comes to being a leader? Like how do you approach leadership?
Um, I think for me, well, one, I'm always learning. Um, I think it's you're approaching leadership is always approaching with a level of curiosity that you want to understand the time, the moment, the people, the market, the business, the what's going on, right? And I think in order to achieve that, um, you got to approach it with some sort of like humility and ability to be collaborative. Um, I think that's important. I think you need to figure out like what your skill is and how you can apply that skillfulness um, to whatever it is you're focused on. So I think my approach is that it's curiosity, it's being humble, or trying to be as humble as you can be so that you can absorb information well, be collaborative so that you can learn from everyone around you, and then know where your skills your best skills, because sometimes I've seen it happen in the reverse order, and I think that doesn't work as well. Um, I think with our future leaders, is that what you asked?
Well, yeah, it could also be like, what would you share with future leaders? Sure. I mean, from your roles as a leader.
Um, I think the curiosity part is like I think with business, like for NAHREP, I think it's an organization, right? And for me, when I think of that, I look at our business and I apply the same thought process, I guess, and that is the curiosity part is really just around knowing what stage something is in. I think every business, family, organization's in some sort of stage,
Mm,
whether it's a startup, infancy, or it's in its adolescence, or it's doing 1,000 different things to see what's gonna work. Like, understanding the stage it's in, so you need that level of curiosity to achieve that. I think, the collaborativeness that's required for a NARA president is critical, right? Because you need to know who's who and what's what, and you gotta do it in a short time. And, so you gotta build a lot of mutual respect and a lot of trust, which means that you have to be the one that's most vulnerable, I think,
mm.
which is where I think that humility comes in. And then once all that's sort of put together, then you can figure out where do your skills, like we were talking a second ago, right? Like the right leader comes in at the right time. Well, what skills are those and where do you apply them? Because at the end of the day, it's really a short time, right? It's not like you're there, and it shouldn't be, right? I think it's a temporary, journey for you with a lifelong impact, I think, overall, and so, yeah, I think those 3 things are sort of, for me, how I see it.
What's interesting for me in knowing you is I could see your employees and others that work for you that they trust you. And to me, it seems to me that you believe what you say, or you walk the walk, not just talk the talk. And I always go back to, your mission from back in the day, regarding Hispanic homeownership, but also helping your employees buy their first home and stuff. I mean, it's something that I'll never forget hearing those stories. But I mean, can you talk about that? I mean, how do you build trust with your employees?
Um, it's, I think it well, 1, I think you need to be able to have, like, programs or processes, beliefs, a culture
Mm,
that embodies who you really are. And so when you talked about, homeownership internally, well, if you're a company that says, "We believe that wealth, is built through homeownership," then you have to look inside and go, "Well, how many homeowners do we have internally, and how do we ensure that we're creating that same mission that we have internally as well as
but
externally?" And
how many
so
people actually think about doing that? That's the thing I bring
well,
up.
I think, that's a great question. I think good companies do. And maybe if a company's not, it's because they haven't gotten there yet, right?
Mhm.
Oh, hopefully. Maybe that's why I don't think negative thoughts so much. Um, I think internally, it's that. But the other side of that is understanding that really empathy and compassion. I think there's a difference between both, right? And I think compassion's internal and empathy is external. And I think that's how that's how I look at it. You gotta one, you're putting yourself in someone else's shoes, and I think that belongs to the customer. And compassion is you're really learning how to understand that people's development comes with mistakes. And then you have to and it was really hard, actually, that was really hard for me, but people's growth comes with mistakes on a team, in your company, and it's really hard to build a business if you're not allowing for those mistakes, which
Mhm.
are can be really angry. You can get really angry with those things sometimes. And so compassion is what's this I think the solution. You might call it love and warmth and all that. But ultimately, I think the difference is compassion is loving someone enough to get angry when they screw up. It's almost like a family member. Like, if you don't get angry,
Yeah, do you
enough,
care?
do you care, right? Exactly. And so um, I think that is something that is in our culture, and I think maybe that's what people can appreciate, although it sounds kind of funky, because you love enough, you're compassionate enough for people to grow with you, and it's not easy.
Um, you mentioned being curious, and how important that is for a leader. Um, and so for me, uh, how do you how do you stay motivated to continue to grow, personally and professionally? But how do you continue to stay curious and go after the unknown and push forward? How do you do that for yourself?
I think it evolves. Um, I to some degree, I think it's just the way people are wired. Like, the curiosity, like, "What if?" Like, "Could we do this? Well, what if? What if?" And, when someone says, "You can't," well, then that drives you, right, too, right? So, I think there's portion of it is you're just wired with a certain, like, grit or drive and desire to want to see how much you can accomplish. But I also think the evolution of that is, one, how you can your accomplishments change. Like, you go from I think I felt like I went from, like, "What can I accomplish?" to I still think that, by the way,
Mhm.
but also, what can the people that are around you accomplish, and what can you help them accomplish, and how can you accomplish things together? And so it's just like this symbiotic approach to what if. And I think that level of curiosity to see how far you can take something, which there's no guarantee where you'll get to, right? Because there's people that have gone farther than us and people that haven't, right? And so I think that level of curiosity, that grit, um, having purpose too. Like, why are you doing something for your family, for those around you, for just the straight, like, I want to see if I could do it. All of that, I think.
Do you do you set aside time to allow yourself to be curious? I wonder just because as a business owner, the day-to-day the daily task, that email, the inbox can just take over your life, your work life, so to speak. I mean, how do you have a process or like you said, is it just ingrained in you to be curious, or do you have a process to allow yourself to think in longer terms or in some way to help you motivate yourself to find those goals to continue to grow, whether personally or professionally?
Yeah, I don't a process, sometimes it's disruptive process, and sometimes it's a healthy one. I'm learning a process. I say that because I think stage and that process of curiosity have to align. Um, you could have this level of curiosity, and some people call it entrepreneurialism or being an entrepreneur. And it could be helpful and it could also be damaging at the same time. Because if you're constantly changing things for people, then what level of sort of function or stability or consistency can you achieve? So I think that's why I say I'm constantly learning. And when do you find time? I think if you're wired that way, you're constantly thinking of what if I change something? And what I've learned over time is the discipline is to hold back when you need to and then fire away when it's time. And that typically happens between market shifts or your own business's changes or evolution. It's like, when do you apply entrepreneurialism and when do you pull back on entrepreneurialism? I think we're constantly navigating those waters. I don't know if that's a good answer or not,
Yeah, I
but
mean, do you look at the situation or do you look at the person in front of you? I mean, some people can't handle it, right? Some people aren't aren't made for change, and need structure, right? I mean, so do you look at both and
I think maturity helps you get more well-rounded, and I think time and learning help you get more rounded. The way we look at it is there's um, 4 skill sets that everyone has and styles that everyone has, and some are stronger than others. So like I said, entrepreneurialism, right? That tends to be where the creative juices get going and market changes, market pivots. All of a sudden, you need a lot of creativity, but with creativity comes risk because you're changing something. Another style is being very administrative, right? And those are in constant conflict because how can I be creative and be administrative at the same time? You
right.
can't, right? Because administration doesn't want change, but entrepreneurship wants constant change. Matter of fact, loves change, right? And then you have productivity, which is basically like, stop talking about this shit. Let's just start doing some shit, right? And the last style is the integrative style, which is like, oh, you guys stop fighting. We need to all love each other and make sure that we're like enjoying the time together and enjoying the journey and finding balance in all of that. I think is not easy. So when do you do that? I think that's what we're talking about. Um, I don't know if there's an exact time in the market that's right. I think what we try to do is time the stage our business is in with the market and see if we can pivot into that particular style while balancing all the other styles. So if I look back just recently at 2025, right? We believe that right now is the entrepreneurialness needs to step up, needs
Mhm.
to step in front. But if you would have asked me this last year or the last 2 years, I would have said, no, the administrative needs to take over. Entrepreneurs, sit your ass down. We need to make sure that we're consistent, that we're tight, that systems and processes are functioning, and that we're as efficient and as productive as we can be. So administration wins, productivity wins. Entrepreneurs sit on the sideline. Integrators, try to calm yourself down because you're freaking out that everyone's getting angry. And we need to live in this space right now because that's the stage that we're in.
Mhm.
And now I feel like we're sort of transitioning to let the entrepreneurs go, right? Let them do their thing, which freak out all the administrators. And that's, to me, the building a business and trying to figure it out. That's the curiosity. What stage, when, how, who? Because all these styles come from different people that don't always get along all the time, but you need them all for a team to really be successful, right?
Um, I love asking people, if their life were a book or if they were to write a book, what would the title be and what would be the central theme or lesson? Are we looking at the 4 styles and when to use them?
Well, yeah. So, um, the title would be um, in the zone,
Mm,
and the zone is curiously imbalanced, not balanced, imbalanced,
imbalance.
because I don't believe there's actual balance. I don't think that exists. Matter of fact, if
Do you
you
mean personally, professionally? What do you mean by,
all of it,
imbalance?
yes, the answer is yes. Um, because think about it this way. Think about it this way. If well, in Eastern culture, it's yin and yang. In Western culture, it's homeostasis, whether it's your body or your business. And what those either mean is that there's a it's like a seesaw, right?
Mhm.
So if you think about balance, well, balance means I have to stop it. I literally have to hold the seesaw with both hands to keep it from doing this. Well, do that for as long as you can, right? Now put, 5 pounds on it, 10 pounds on it, 20 pounds on it, and try to hold that. You can't.
Yeah.
There's no balance. It's just constantly doing this. What you're trying to do is figure out when it goes this way a little bit too much to pull it back this way.
Gotcha.
So I think my title would be in the zone. In the zone is being curiously unbalanced all the time. And the curiosity helps you sort of bring that back, bring it back, and that's, I think, what happens. That's why I think people say growth is never linear, whether it's personal growth or business growth. It's not linear. It has its ebbs and flows and peaks and valleys. And so I think that's what my title would be.
I love it. That sounds like a great book. Have you thought about it?
No, because I'm still living in it. I'm still learning it, I guess. I think I think if I had to think about what would be in the book, it would be like how to strengthen your pain tolerance, like how to get stronger with being able to tolerate the pain that you have to manage between the imbalance.
The stress, yeah.
Yeah, right. I think that's right. Exactly. And I think the other thing was understanding the difference between being an entrepreneur and being entrepreneurial. There's a massive difference between the two. And I think maybe we don't understand that enough. I'm still learning it myself.
I get it. I almost feel like we answered my next question, but it's just, what belief or habit do you hold that is unconventional, that you think has been the biggest part of your success?
Unconventional, none. I don't think there's anything unconventional. Like we said, I don't think balance is achievable. I think it's a constant, which is great, right? Like imbalance is what you can achieve, and you're constantly trying to balance it because there's only two times you would have balance. One is you force it and then it breaks. And the second is you die. It's the only time
Yeah,
there's
I guess that's right. But I mean, even the acceptance of an imbalance is, I think, unconventional with so many
okay.
people
So
talking about balance and wanting a balance and what have you. So
I heard this saying, God, it was on TikTok or something. Some guy said, success is like being pregnant. Everyone congratulates you, but no one knows how many times you got screwed. He said it differently, but um, I think
you gave
there
me
you
the
go.
PG version.
Yeah, I give you the PG version. That is imbalance, right? That is I think I thought that was a great saying, but I think if unconventional, I don't think there's anything unconventional about this. And I think, some of it my mom taught me, some of it I learned over time. And I think, I think number one is without discipline, nothing happens.
Mhm.
Without and you have to figure out how to love it. I mean, there's just, whether it's health or business, you have to have discipline and you have to figure out how to love it. You got to be able to persist. You got to be able to persevere. I mean, you could read 1,000 books on it. There's no shortcuts to having discipline. And there's some you know, great TED Talks out there about that, right? From Duckworth to whoever. I think you have to understand that conflict is required. Like, I think it's not unconventional, but you have to be comfortable in conflict.
Yeah.
It's required part of success. Um, it's like in business, um, putting the customer first and profitability are always in conflict, and you need to be comfortable in that conflict, right? Because those that want to do right by the customer are in conflict with those that want to do right by the company, and in the middle, you're going, we all got to win, right?
Right.
But you have to be comfortable in conflict, and you and your team have to be comfortable in that push-pull battle between the empathy for the customer and the compassion for your team to be able to be as profitable as you can be while providing the best product or service you can to the customer. I think emotional intelligence, that's not unconventional, but you got to have it. You have to be able to understand the difference between empathy and compassion, or self-aware, right? Any of those sort of core key factors of being emotionally intelligent, I think are important. You got to be able to be obsessed. That's not unconventional. If you're not obsessed, forget it. You're screwed. Because tell me who has been successful that wasn't obsessed about what they were doing.
That's right.
Whether you're an artist or a entrepreneur, a business person, an inventor, you're just obsessed with some level of achievement of something that has to happen for you, or you freak out, right? You can't sleep, you can't eat, you can't nothing, right? You just have to accomplish this thing. And we said it earlier, and I think it's just love. You got to love people. I mean, it comes in different ways, right? Because everyone's style is a little different, I think. And so I think you got to be, because without love, you can't integrate. And it sounds cliche and it sounds like, but it's true, right? You could say being a warm person, you could say being passionate, whatever that sort of Webster's dictionary you need. But at the end of the day, it's love, I think, because without that, it's like the main ingredient of building a team. So none of that's unconventional, right? You got to have love, you got to have integration, you got to have creativity, and you got to be able to take risks. You got to be able to administrate, because otherwise everyone's pulling their hair out and crazy. And you got to sell some shit, right? You got to be able to be productive. That's how
Without a
I'm
doubt.
challenging.
Without a doubt. No, all of those descriptions and are a requirement for sure when it comes to success. Jason, I thank you so much for your time and sharing these wonderful thoughts. I know so many people are gonna get so much out of this conversation, and again, just truly appreciate you being open and willing to talk here at the Architects of Latino Success.
No problem. Thank you. Hey, thank you for having me on. Thank you for being a friend and always been great to me. So, um, appreciate it.